But I do think a good 40% of them, because we had like the Bernie Bros movement and all that, and even during the Democratic convention, we saw a lot of infighting. We saw the
That's right.
the booing when people endorsed Hillary or when she was speaking. So there was a lot of mix. There was a lot of debate still. So I think about 40% probably switched over. 60% went to Hillary, and then like somewhere in between, less than 10% either with the Green Party or with Gary Johnson. Probably more towards Johnson, actually.
I'd actually have to say that a lot of Bernie supporters are probably in favor of Gary Johnson because of his more outside views, and he's more of an independent versus Hillary Clinton or Trump, which is really, really big. So now there's a lot of talk about what's going to happen next. People have been speculating that possibly if Hillary Clinton does drop out, that Bernie would come back in. Do you think that's a possibility at all?
2 weeks ago, I would have said yeah. I think right now we're just too close to the finish line. If you have 50 days to establish that he's the new candidate, okay, we understand his policies, but it's just not enough time. What are they going to do? 2 debates with Hillary and then switch out for Bernie? Or they switch out with Biden? And I even heard Michelle Obama, which is just preposterous. I could never see that happening. But I think we're too close to the deadline, and I think Hillary's too much in it for herself to drop out. She's too headstrong. If the videos are true about her health that we see online and everything, she would have dropped out just from that. If she's really sick, she's staying in for a reason. I think we're going to see, in the end, it's going to be Trump, Johnson, and Clinton in the major electoral votes. Jill Stein, has less than 2%. I know she's in the race, but come on, no chance.
Yeah, but still, she has a pretty big following. She's still an active member, which is great. A lot of support for the Green Party and the Libertarians.
I think it's great that we have other options. It's just, in the 2016 election, we're not going to see Johnson win. I think it's great that when people support him, they have reasons why, and they can back it up with facts and his politics. That's great. We should have a bigger discussion. We should have more options, but realistically right now it's still left versus right, red versus blue.
Like you said, we only have about 50 days till the election. It's crunch time.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And so now we have a whole bunch of disenfranchised Bernie supporters.
Mm-hmm.
We have them all voting for a bunch of different people, not exactly sticking to the Democrats and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting. We're going to have to see how this plays out.
Yeah, and I think if Hillary wants to gain those supporters, what she has to do, she has to just be honest. Like, if she wants to gain more Bernie followers, I feel like the biggest thing is that they see her as establishment. They see her as a liar, saying whatever it takes to get in. It's kind of like when Obama said, was it 2012, when they were running for the nomination, that she'll say anything and change nothing. That's the line we keep hearing over and over. And I think if Trump wants those supporters, then what we've been seeing him do recently, once he changed kind of his campaign, who's in the campaign, he has to stay, more on task, more on a prompter. He can't be saying outrageous things. That's the part we love about him. A lot of people love that he's so off the rails and they watch his debates and all that because of that. But to win over voters, he's got to be calm down, bring it in, because, people aren't going to lend a listening ear if they're immediately insulted by you.
Yeah, exactly, which might have worked in the primary against 16 other Republicans, but now we're in a general.
Exactly.
So what do you think is, and we'll move on to the general election now, what do you feel for the debate coming out next week?
It's going to be intense. I really feel like there's going to be a strong bias towards Clinton. I mean, when you look at the major news networks, they're all majorly biased. We see with the new alt-right media, things like Breitbart, and, Drudge isn't new, but it's definitely shown a leaning more towards Trump and the Republicans, whereas MSNBC and things like that are always kind of pushing the Clinton agenda, and a lot of these moderators, I feel like Matt Lauer did a great job. He was excellent.
He was good.
Yeah. It would be really interesting, I think, to see a no moderator debate like Trump is calling.
That would actually be very entertaining.
I feel like
I don't know if they'll allow it to happen.
No, I feel like Clinton would never allow that.
That'd be like having a fight without a referee.
Exactly.
So they need that referee in there. Okay, so what do you think about when it comes to the primary that happened? A lot of people who supported Bernie gave in a lot of money to him, especially people that did not have a lot of money to begin with.
Yeah.
And a lot of people
I think they said the median donation was about $27 or something around.
Yep, and mostly from people who are his major supporters, the youth. So a lot of people were very upset that he did not use that money wisely or effectively. At least that's what they're claiming. And now a lot of people are very upset that all that money is going towards Clinton, who we know has a very major and powerful money machine.
Oh, yeah. Clinton Foundation.
So what do you think about money in politics?
Well, this has been an issue for years and years, and it's hard because the people who have to clean it up are the people who are benefiting from it. As far as elections go, things like...
Not a lot of policing happening amongst themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Things like super PACs, they're hard. If I remember watching like the Colbert Report years ago, and they set up their own super PAC and everything like that. It's just ridiculous what they can get away with. But at the same time, even once it gets past the general election, people in Congress, every politician is still getting paid from a lobbyist here or there. So will money ever be out of politics? No.
Probably not, no. It's not realistic because they need to buy ads, they need to travel across the country.
It would have to be a government of the people, again, for it to be moneyless, but people's self-interest is more important to them than the interest of a country as a whole.
I'd say so as well. Okay, so let's wrap this up. And we'll do that by... Now, Bernie has a major movement in addition to not only his campaign, but a lot of people feel that his movement will continue even though he's not in the race anymore. Oh, yeah, how do you feel about that?
Well, even when he was still campaigning, there was a lot of... I was getting like these fundraising emails from his campaign or whatever the donation site was using, where he was trying to elect people to things like Senate and Congress who supported views similar to him. So even if he couldn't get in necessarily, there's a army of Congress and senators who have this certain belief system. So I think that's going to be really important. I think that turned a lot of independent voters towards Democrats. So when it comes to things like local elections, if those people are still motivated enough to go out to the polls and vote, I think we'll see an increase in people that are on that side of the issue, or issues, I should say. But we'll see a lot of them gaining seats in the House.
Yeah.
But
because not only is there a presidential election, there's also a major Senate election this year.
Yeah, so
Congress is getting a lot of new people, supposedly, if they do get voted in. So
it depends on if the people go out to the polls, because you can say I support all you want, but once he gave that endorsement, a lot of people stopped showing up. I didn't read a whole article. It was just a headline, but they said like 150 people showed up to a Sanders event. That's just quite a contrast to the multiple thousands that we saw on the campaign trail.
Yes. So at the same time, I'd say we'll end it at, it looks like Bernie Sanders may have not gotten exactly everything he wanted, but there is hope for his supporters and his movement moving forward. And now this is all going to be considered coming to the general election. So we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think his revolution, that's the one thing that Clinton's having trouble with, is because she has inspired those people that are part of the revolution to go out and vote for her. But I think we'll see it in other areas of politics. It's definitely going to be interesting from here on out. Socialism, communism. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. At least an American-style version. Yeah. Hopefully.
Progressive socialism.
Progressive socialism. I don't know exactly what that means, but we'll see. Well, I think this is great. Thank you again for joining me very much. Thanks again. This has been Future Werewolf here. I'll have all of his links to his channel, his new streaming, which is up now, correct?
Yeah, it's up.
On Twitch, so we'll have all that in the comments below, and be sure to stay tuned for more StepNew review coming soon. All right.
Goodbye. I'm burned out.
Afterburners engage. Oh, that was great. Okay.